much, though. The Dow is up 30, the Nasdaq is up 62, and the
Here's Johnny. Thank you, Ed. Hey, hi there, social media family. Been of any subscribers as well as any visitors to that being of my own social media channel in our chat room or comment section or whatever I've said. Disregard some such. This is toothpaste. I'm brushing my teeth. That's earlier, but then I yet to wash my clothes in the laundromat, be it for the premises and properties of this facility within the building or outside of the building for that matter. Did one of my regular pop-up characters pop on here just that quick and popped out? Likewise, just at this given moment for the present, just as quick, you know, one of the likes of the characters that would pop on my social media channel to disrespect it by only stand for a few seconds, then pop out just as quick and get me thinking as to whether or not somebody could once again, somebody and how many other likes of one's kind could possibly be once again spying upon me and could, for that matter, could possibly be one of my past or present neighbors from down hell characters. And so much for that conversation. And moving right along, you know, conversation dialogue. Not that is supposed to become or be the content of today's or the present social media broadcast as we have it here on the video. Yes, how are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right. Or if not, best of all, to be said, to be feeling less than stress, more blessed than stress, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, a family friend, hopefully me and mine, likewise as well, or also. And do please excuse, forgive, do please excuse, pardon, forgive me for butchering the English language, and whatever you can hear in the background. Hopefully it would be of my own personal effects belonging to possession so far as some such other electronic device than the likes of any proverbial neighbor from damn hell characters or public use of problem neighbors attempting to disrupt the proceeding or interrupt the present social media content of a video broadcast. But then what you heard much earlier, a minute or so ago, is partly the content for the present one, you know, as you witnessed so far the name title, which I wish to speak upon the abuse of child labor in these places of businesses and the killings, the murdering of countless fetuses, pre-infants or pre-babies. That's what the radio broadcast last was making mention of. Hold that thought. I think I've heard more enough of my share of current events for today and this morning for that matter. Try not to, listen to some of such too soon in the morning and too late in the evening, as you know how that is, Whereas I don't want to start my day off the wrong way, and neither do I want to have more nightmares than what I could possibly already become subject to experiencing, Whereas it's bad enough that I could possibly wake up on the wrong side of the bed enough as it is, or could possibly become or be the case, the situation at times. Oh my God. Joe is this. I don't listen to some of any and every, religionist or preacher, especially if they are the likes of doom and gloom preachers. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Sorry about that. I apologize. Anyway, though, yes, I had given you all that description in explaining what today's or the present social media content of a video is supposed to be about. So for this broadcast, and with that having been said, then let's just dive into it, before I were to have to step out of my place of residence, being in my present one, in a worse neighborhood, and as I have to deal with, as in be bothered with the likes of what I meant to say. Excuse pardon, forgive me for butchering the English language or American dialect. Not that I would be trying to cause problems compared to the neighbors from damn hell to do so. My present ones are the worst kind, sort of type, or much more creepier than the last one. Well, I say that kind. But anyway, though, let's just dive into this social media broadcast video before I wanted to step out of my place of residence. The present one for a worse neighborhood where I'm at now, for that being of a vicinity area community and having to be bothered with is what I meant to say. With the likes of worse neighbors, or the likes of that kind of neighbors from damn hell, or public nuisance problem neighbors, for that matter. And whereas I would like to try to take care of some business matters for my own personal survival, ASAP, as soon as possible, and have to postpone it for another day, regardless of what the weather's temps may look like and feel like, for that matter, as the present given moment in time. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. And time to make the donuts, as they say. I mean, in order to get something done, you have to do it yourself, as the old saying goes. Anyway, yes, let's just dive into the present social media broadcast of content, And as it don't take a rocket scientist, nor doesn't take butchering English language and American dialect for sure. It don't take a rocket scientist to understand the perils of this particular, social injustice, being of which is plaguing our own supposed so-called democratic republican democracy, as we have it, of the USA. When big business CEOs, and speaking upon this first subject matter to complement the name title, and then I will get on to the other one that will do the same. Big business CEOs or corporations or conglomerates are, employing persons of underage minors, using and abusing children to fill their quota of possible and potential prospects of workers or employees, regardless of the general physical and mental health hazards, being of which could possibly, not just practically, possibly be associated with and representing the many different big businesses in question. Sorry, I seem like I'm having a compulsive disorder at the moment. Sorry about that. That I mean to, become or be a distraction in my own right. Not to mention the neighbors from downhill characters. But yes, the big business CEOs are employing child labor, being of which they more often than not use and abuse, talk about the Catholic Church for that matter. And, prison facilities, penitentiaries, using inmates for what is it? Dimes on the dollar, nickels on the dollar, pennies on the dollar, for pennies for peanuts, as practically and possibly free labor to compare on to, you know, the inexperienced, cheap labor to be found from countries like the People's Republic of China or South America for another continent, you know, or from Africa for that matter. But more from the People's Republic of China than South America, unless I'm mistaken. Being because no country or nation wants to possibly be associated and representing the much more familiar institution of slavery that is coming from our own race of people's motherland, so far as the continent of Africa is concerned. Yes. But then children are being worked like slaves. And these big business corporations or conglomerates with all this affiliates, auxiliaries, uh, satellite business companies, and regardless of whether or not the children could possibly get injured in some or such. And that's rather tragic, when children should be in school, you know, or hanging out with their friends after school. It just get me thinking how certain children students elsewhere, they have to go through enough perils in their own right, you know, climbing hills and mountains to get to school. You could fall into water ravines or or ponds or lakes on their way to school, you know, having to brace themselves for the elements of tornadoes and hurricanes or typhoons trying to get to school, then to think that some big business CEOs could possibly attempt to take advantage of underage minors or boys and girls alike of children in their different atmospheres for premises of properties, facilities, at some such given moment in time where it's bad enough when grown-ups or adults could get injured upon premises, properties, and facilities, the different sorts or types of businesses, than for children to come up losing an arm or a leg, and then some, sometimes getting murdered or killed, if a major accident could possibly happen at one of these places of businesses, like an explosion or something, be it the result of developments of an arsonist character or not, or improper fire protection to be given to a business's employees, because the employer wants to cut corners to keep the cash flow in one's business company budget. And then, you know, so far recompensating their employees or subordinates, whereas it's like trying to, you know, get a dollar up under the wheel of a 2-ton automobile or motor vehicle parked in the street somewhere, you know. And so if the big business CEOs would, take advantage of employees who are American citizens, even grown-ups, not to mention of the likes of children of underage minors, boys and girls alike, then one can only imagine how much more they would take advantage of any foreigners, you know, in that same line of thought and sense of word, you know. Yes. Anyway, though, I think you all get the general idea of what I'm trying to say, being a message at hand that I'm delivering, you know. And I would hope that you know, more than quite a few of you would at least get the Cliff Notes version of what I was trying to say in more words or less, you know. I mean, I would think that although, regardless of how I may have, you know, gone about a rather mediocre approach to it, but I think I did fairly well in giving you all the general idea of what I was trying to say and speaking upon these matters of the subject, a topic of discussion that is rather controversial, regardless of whether or not I have provided to your persons, being in my social media family of subscribers and visitors alike to that being on my own YouTube social media channel, you know, that being of any chronicle or reports or the numerical digit statistics of different countless personnel, employees, subordinates injured for any sorts of types of places or businesses, or corporations, or conglomerates, or enterprises. And moving right along. So I did mention how, you know, it is hard to get compensated for the injuries that could happen. Many different big business employees or subordinates become subject to experiencing or to suffer from. And on to the next subject matter at hand. And speaking upon the butchers of abortionists, before I were to close out in due time. As you know, that is a big business in its own right. Whereas the abortionist characters, they don't care how many pre-infants or pre-babies or fetuses that they themselves cold-bloodedly murder. You know, just as long as the monetary financial currency or the cash flow, to simply say, is still filling their money chests, secret bank accounts, be it in Switzerland or wherever else. They don't care, you know. There's no skin off of their teeth. Pardon the pun. None was meant, none intended, and no, not any disrespect to the murdered pre-babies, pre-emphasis of fetuses, you know. And I myself personally, I don't see how a mother or mom could possibly give permission or consent to any of those monsters of abortionists to butcher their children in their stomachs. You know, what every pregnant mom or mother needs to see before she were to give permission or consent to these monster abortionists and animals at that. In other words, they need to view one of those on what you call those X-ray screenings. Their babies or infants in the stage development of fetuses in their stomachs. Then maybe they would have a change of mind and heart before they were to, become a co-conspirator or accomplice in crime to murder their unborn babies or infants, you know. And you'd be surprised how a lot of mothers or moms who would have given permission or consent to these abortionist monsters or animals to murder their, their unborn children, their living fetuses in their stomachs, they become subject to experiencing just so much tremendous, sometimes overwhelming grief or sorrow of having, done that, to have received or accepted an a surgical abortion procedure. You know, I mean, you'll be surprised, and I wouldn't doubt that that some could have contemplated suicide attempts to try to get over the grief or the sorrow that they would have become subjected to experiencing, to have murdered their unborn babies or infants of fetuses, of living fetuses, a child during the development stages of becoming a whole full born baby or infant. I mean, I cannot imagine the grief or sorrow that they could possibly become subject to experience. I would think that it would be beyond my own wildest imaginations. The best I could come up with to try to give you all the general idea of the grief or sorrow that pregnant moms who could have given permission or consent to abortionist monsters or animals to murder their unborn children in the pre-stage developments of living fetuses. I guess you could say it could possibly be like as if they themselves are, fixed up to a French guillotine, about to have their throats slashed or sliced by that 2-ton blade. Maybe it's a even greater, bigger weight coming down on their necks to chop their heads off, like Marie Antoinette saying, "I don't care if they starve, let them eat cake." The revolutionary peasants who are attempting to destroy the hierarchy of the French government regime. But then I have yet to see that theatrical play, Les Miserables, in person. I get the general idea of some of such. Then I have yet to see the other one called Hamilton. That's something. That just get me thinking, reflect upon that last mention. Former ex-president Donald Trump, the fool for all races of people, or the fool for all races of person. Mind you, the word fooler, mind you, as our kissing cousins of the Brits across the great waters of the Atlantic, being for the mother country that gave birth to our own supposed so-called Democratic Republic of Democracy of the USA, would say. Yeah. The word Führer in German doesn't or don't necessarily have to be associated with and representing a despot or dictator of, you know, a third world country or dictatorship. The word for in German, when it's translated, is to be defined as meaning leader. You know. But anyway, that and getting back to some of such others, complete a former line of thought. This get me thinking how former ex-president Donald Trump, the fool for all races of persons. During the first term as president of the USA, whereas before he had got inaugurated or after he got inaugurated, he couldn't enjoy a theatrical play, whereas, the members of the entertainment community, television, movie, and music industries had booed him as a spectator. I'm not saying, oh come on, that was just so low class. That lacked, you know, professional etiquette for the member cast for the theatrical play of Hamilton to have done that to him. You know, but then for Sleepy Joe, Slow Joe, compared to old cat, the president-elect, the abortionist supporter of a modern-day King Herod, baby killer in his own right, who supports abortionists. I mean, for him to leave not just thousands, not just millions, but billions of dollars of U.S. military equipment and motor vehicles and armaments or military weapons in that third world country of Afghanistan that was taken over by the Islamic Muslim terrorists after he had given order that the U.S. military is to pull out of that third world country and prematurely causing the Islamic Muslim terrorists to take control of it, you know. Then he's doing likewise a very poor job of defending our own borders against the Mexican drug cartel lords who are blending in with Mexican immigrants otherwise and then flood our own country or nation as we have it with their poisonous fentanyl as well as whatever other lethal or dangerous criminally illegal drug substances, you know. Therefore, we need former ex-president Donald Trump back in the White House and in the Oval Office ASAP as soon as possible. But then, regardless of whatever the 2024 political election may come out to be, may former ex-president Donald Trump give President-elect Joe Biden, being of a modern-day King Herod, baby killer, abortionist supporter, a run for his money. They give him good political debates to point out his faults, and as he is to blame for how our own country or nation of a supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy is going down the tubes, I mean, really now. Because this big failure of a president-elect, he's one big joke, if you ask me. Then on this last note of interest, I would like to say, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now. Of a mass attention while the blood is still running warm in your veins, while you are still within or in the supposed so-called land of the living, but the real land of the living is the existence after this one, which is permanent compared to the one as we know it of this worldly existence is only temporary. Yes, I will hope that one and many would think to accept Christ as one's personal Lord and Savior, regardless of whatever races, walks of life, fashion, society, lifestyle preferences, age, gender, and etc. Being among us, those or persons who represent not only the human the human species, but the global community within this post 911 era, our new millennium apocalyptic day and age, where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes of midnight compared on how formerly previously practiced, and it was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. Yes, I will hope that more of us soon enough will think to accept Christ as one's personal Lord and Savior before it becomes too late. Because very few become subject to experiencing a beyond and back experience. Because most who go to damn hell are there to stay. And Christ's salvation is the only fire insurance against the lake of fire damn hell. You all take care and be safe, be blessed, not stressed, and we out. Peace.